Letters from the Pale Court, Part 2. The crimson veil. The snow fell earlier than expected, blanketing the Pale Court like a burial shroud. Poor. It silenced the land and sealed the crumbling estate in stillness. Beneath the hush, the halls of the manor groaned, softly, as if remembering. No servants remained. The village had grown fearful. Only Sebastian moved through the fading corridors, a flickering lantern in one hand, and another letter in the other darker than the last, its ink thick like dried blood. Each night his dreams thickened. Only the scream, his or hers, he could not say, pined one. He saw Elara dancing, alone in the moonlit ballroom. The room smelled of village. Elara sat by the hearth, staring at him through her veil, but his voice failed him. He could not keep food down. But the letters he devoured, as if they were written to be consumed. Only silence passed between them, filled with the language of ghosts, not translucent, not spectral, folded into the ribs of a dead raven atop his desk, but real. Her gown, the color of mourning, her veil, deep red. You were never meant to forget, layered with a medallion of his great-grandfather, the one who had vanished without a trace into these same halls, and he descended for the last time of fire. The blood from his fingertip knew where to go. It soaked into the stone, bepacked Elara's death not by illness but by sacrifice, and his escape, carrying her final vow locked in blood. She never turned fully to him, only offered glimpses of a smile, half-formed, eyes weeping, violet smoke. The deeper he went, the more the walls pulsed like flesh. The mural of the court bled from the stone, and the skeletal nobles turned their painted heads as he passed. And always the echo of a bell that never rang in waking hours. She took his hand, and as the chamber filled with crimson mist and forgotten voices, Sebastian smiled. Windows revealed not the outside world, but long corridors lit by candlelight. He wrote feverishly, letters in ink, then in soot, then in something darker, scraped from beneath his fingernails. Their robes bore the heraldry of the pale court and ivory eye. Upon a field of bone, at their feet, lay Elara's veil, soaked in blood, folded precisely. The inked words on the page would rearrange themselves at night. In the waking world, his reason frayed. And finally, a sanctum of frescoes depicting pale figures in regal decay. There, beneath the throne, complete what was once begun. Take your place beside her, pale court, be. They had been real, once aristocrats who made war on heaven and fled into the mountain's womb. The letters spoke of chambers below the court, of rites never fulfilled, of an oath left broken by betrayal and time. The latest bore no signature but reeked of mildew and decay. She waits where the angels weep. Do not make her wait longer. Sebastian knew it meant the catacombs sealed for generations after the first fire. With trembling hands, he unearthed the ancient key from the hearth. where his mother once kept family relics. Lantern in hand, he descended into stone silence. Upon the lid was carved the likeness of Elara, as he remembered her in life, but enthroned, her eyes closed, her hands folded over a parchment scroll. The air grew colder with each step, until his breath came in clouds and his ears filled with a distant rustling as, though pages turned just out of sight, the crypt unveiled itself, not all at once, but in stages antechambers wrapped in rot, pews worn, smoothed by forgotten knees. At its heart stood a sarcophagus, sealed with red wax, bound in chains inscribed with Latin prayers. He did not remember breaking the seal. When he awoke in bed, the fire had long gone cold, and the moonlight was no longer silver but a dull, pulsing blue. "You've remembered," she whispered, brushing dust from her gown. "You always do. Eventually." Sebastian tried to speak. In the days that followed, the house turned strange. Walls dripped with brackish tears. Mirrors no longer reflected what stood before them. He stopped eating. One morning, he awoke to find a procession of faceless courtiers assembled along the grand staircase. They bowed without heads. She had left again. Or she had never been. A final letter arrived. It read, "On the third night of the waxing moon, return to the chamber of the seal." He dressed in funeral black. The stairs seemed longer now. Each torch he passed lit on its own. At the sanctum, the sarcophagus lay open. The veil now covered the throne. "Sebastian," a voice sang Elara's, yet layered with others, male and female, young and ancient. And he remembered the wedding in secret, the forbidden rites, the betrayal by the Council of Faith, kneeling before the throne. Sebastian opened the last letter he had written, still sealed in his coat. He signed his name anew. The court rose. Dust fell from the arches as long dormant doors opened. Boughs tolled, but not from any tower. The sound came from within the wall. He stood beside Elara. For the first time in centuries, the pale court had a king.